tensions really are high between Fatah, between Hamas. What's the assessment on your part when it comes to where these two groups are now?
Since the election of 2006, Hamas and Fatah are in different standpoints. They both have completely different ideologies, different political programs. That's why they have a series of reconciliation talks, but at the end of the day, they were unable to reach out a reconciliatory program that combined both agendas of the Fatah people and the Hamas people who are governing the Gaza Strip.
And what about this new manifesto that's coming from Hamas? It recognizes the 1967 borders. How much does that do to bring these two groups together?
The manifesto that has been released recently is a pragmatic step from the Hamas side. They're trying to rebrand themselves as a national movement rather than an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood in an attempt to end the international isolation. And they recognize the borders of 1967, which means they recognize the two-state solution. And that is the program of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. That attempt, I think, is a good step from the Hamas movement toward the more cooperation with the Fatah movement. But on the other hand, you have a tough position from Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, who recently has been trying to exert more financial pressure on the Hamas movement in the Gaza Strip in an attempt to let them concede their power, their grab on power in the Gaza Strip and cede more ground to the Palestinian Authority.
So Hamas has a new leader. What do you think that does really to the power dynamic between the two groups and really to the relationship of Hamas to Iran as well?
The election of Ismail Haniyeh was principally for this sake, in my opinion, that it was Khalid Mash'al, the former president of the movement, has individual problems, personal problems with the regime in Iran. And the election of Haniyeh is more acceptable by the Iranian regime. And I think this is going to bridge the gap between the Iranian regime and the Hamas movement. That's from the one hand, internationally. From the other hand, Hamas and Fatah, Haniyeh is a good person for the Fatah movement since he was in the Gaza Strip. He's in good term with the president and he's in good term with all the officials in the... however, I don't believe that he had good chances to reach this kind of reconciliation in the short term, mainly because there seems to be an international agreement that we need to liquidate the Palestinian cause, and Hamas is not reading from this page.
So Hamas has this two-state solution plan. In your opinion, how viable is it?
You know, David Hurst recently wrote a piece for the Middle East Eye, and he said that Hamas is going to the Hajj while everybody is going back. Donald Trump now is speaking about one-state solution. Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, is speaking about one-state solution. However, still the international community, the UN, the European Union, they do believe that the already moribund peace process and the two-state solution are still viable, and Hamas themselves, though late, but now they're showing that they understand the international community standards and prerequisites, and that's why they showed this. I believe this is a test for the international community to show that the 20 years of negotiation were not in vain. They were not useless. At the end, the Palestinians were promised that they're going to have their independent, sovereign, viable state alongside with secure Israel. If the international community is sincere about that, he should take this as a pragmatic move from Hamas and build on that.
You called this a test, and if it is, it certainly will be an important one. Ahmed Burai, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.